Making contact. We know that some animals understand basic instructions, allowing travelers to control their horses or camels, for example. But although some of the more intelligent animals can figure out what we want them to do, we have long assumed that communication with and between animals must be limited. However, thanks to the work done by the naturalist Jane Goodall since the 1960s, we should take the possibility seriously that some animals can both take in what we are saying and get across complex ideas. As a child, Jane loved reading books about a fictional character called Dr. Dolittle who could talk to animals. Perhaps this is what inspired her to go to Africa when she was in her 20s. Here she came across a scientist who asked Jane if she might want a job observing chimpanzees in the wild. She immediately said yes. She went with her mother to the shores of Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania to start her new job, and it was not long before she made out a group of chimpanzees in the trees around an area now called the Gomstream National Park. How could a young English woman with no scientific training possibly make contact with a group of wild chimpanzees? At first, the animals ran away as soon as they saw her, but maybe because she knew very little about these wild animals, it is highly likely that her calmness gained their trust. It was only later that Jane would learn how dangerous they could be. She saw that different groups of chimpanzees had battles in which they tried to wipe out the rival group. But before this, her studies showed her that the chimpanzees could clearly communicate, allowing them to groom and help each other, share food as well as have arguments. Jane pointed out that the animals couldn't communicate using language like people, but they could communicate by touch and sound. Amazingly, she also realized they could use sign language. At this time, people believed that only humans could use tools, but Jane watched chimpanzees using sticks to take ants from a tree and then use the sticks to feed the ants to their young. Through her work, Jane spelled out to the scientific community for the first time that animals, too, could use tools. Jane went on to write a number of books about her work, as well as explaining chimpanzees' highly developed social behavior. She taught us that they are omnivores. People used to think they were vegetarian. In 2002, she became a UN messenger for peace. In my opinion, Jane Goodall brought about a complete change in the way people understood how animals can communicate. Since her work in Tanzania, naturalists have continued to study different forms of communication between animals, such as whales and elephants, who can pick up sounds made by other whales and elephants over large distances. I feel that we may well learn even more about animal communication in the future.
One. What inspired Jane Goodall to study chimpanzees in Africa? A. Her love for reading fiction. B. Her interest in wild animals. C. Her fascination with Dr. Dolittle. D. Her desire to travel. 2. Where did Jane Goodall begin her research on chimpanzees? A. Gom Stream National Park. B. Lake Tanganyika in Tanzania. C. Serengeti National Park. D. Masai Mara Reserve. 3. What did Jane Goodall observe about chimpanzees' ability to communicate? A. They could speak human language. B. They communicated through touch and sound. C. They used telepathy to communicate. D. They communicated through written messages. 4. What did Jane Goodall discover about chimpanzees' tool usage? A. They could only use tools made by humans. B. They did not use any tools. C. They used sticks to feed ants to their young. D. They used tools primarily for self-defense. 5. How did Jane Goodall contribute to our understanding of animal behavior? A. She proved that animals cannot communicate. B. She demonstrated that animals are not intelligent. C. She showed that animals have complex social behaviors. D. She confirmed that animals are herbivores. 6. What was Jane Goodall appointed as in 2002? A. UN Ambassador for Animals. B. UN Messenger for Peace. C. Head of Chimpanzee Research. D. Environmental Activist. 7. What do naturalists study besides chimpanzees? A. Whales and dolphins. B. Lions and tigers. C. Birds and reptiles. D. Insects and spiders. 8. How did Jane Goodall's approach gain the trust of wild chimpanzees? A. By acting aggressively. B. By offering them food. C. By remaining calm. D. By speaking loudly. 9. What misconception did Jane Goodall challenge regarding chimpanzees? A. They are solitary animals. B. They cannot use tools. C. They only communicate through sounds. D. They are carnivores. 10. What is suggested about the future of animal communication research? A. It is unlikely to yield any new discoveries. B. It will focus solely on chimpanzees. C. It may reveal more about whale and elephant communication. D. It will primarily involve studying domesticated animals. 11. What significant impact did Jane Goodall's work have on the scientific community's understanding of animal behavior and communication? 12. How did Jane Goodall's approach to studying chimpanzees differ from traditional scientific methods, and what advantages did it offer? 13. In what ways did Jane Goodall's findings challenge existing misconceptions about animal behavior, and what broader implications did this have for the scientific community? 14. How did Jane Goodall's work extend beyond scientific research to influence broader societal perceptions and conservation efforts? 15. Reflecting on Jane Goodall's legacy, what lessons can be drawn from her pioneering work in understanding animal behavior and communication?